Timbonzwa constitutional amendment. Yacho regaiti vhare bvudzi jena naye vanozo takakuziva kuti amadhara nekuona bvudzi jena regaiti vhare bvudzi jena. Toda chinwira svutugadzike naye svutugadzike. Constitutional amendment. Inguva yatatanga ino. I'm going to take a few minutes. Chitaura nezve constitutional amendment naye. I want people to understand why there is an increased call for Mnangagwa to step down. So I'm going to look at the constitutional amendment, what it means to the people of Zimbabwe, and why the people of Zimbabwe are calling for Emmerson Mnangagwa to resign, to retire. I think by now, every Zimbabwean is aware that Mnangagwa is not very, very well. Maona man ngirinacha anga achiseka nhasi raanda nazazichiezi kuti aoza mukuru wenyika kana akupenga ogwara zvakaoma. Saka let's look at these amendments that were proposed by ZANU-PF. Constitutional amendments proposed by ZANU-PF and what they mean to the people of Zimbabwe. Why people are being told to rally behind these shutdowns and allow Mnangagwa to go peacefully. There are quite a lot of hinges that can affect this campaign for Emmerson Mnangagwa to step down. Madara Vanageza, they are taking it, considering all the legal channels. They are being well advised by legal experts on the legal channels that can impact this campaign. A lot of people are Zanonoka. Of course, Zrunonoka for a cause. There are stages and steps these Madalas must follow before they are condemned as a coup. What they don't want is this to be condemned as a coup, because once it's condemned as a coup, they won't be recognized regionally. They won't be recognized internationally. So, akuna kwa munoenda, if this is not, if it is a coup, akuna kwa munoenda, osema coup government, amakaona ese akarowa, nema sanctions. And you know the sanction, chinotange singa kwa affect iwewe, but as you go on, long term, you can tell the impacts of them. Constitutional amendment. There is a constitutional amendment that I discussed about last time, which Zimbabweans need to understand. I'm going to look into I'm going to look at a constitutional amendment. So constitutional amendment, historical and constitution. What is a constitution? Constitutional development, contemporary Europe. I'm looking for a constitution. What is a constitution? What is a constitution? Zimbabweans might not understand what is a constitution. Zimbabweans need to understand what a constitution is. To us, it is a supreme law. It is a supreme law I'm going to look at different definitions of a constitution to help us understand why it is important why a constitution is important to a country, because people do not understand what a constitution is. So I'm trying to get a good definition. Why do we need one? What is a constitution and why do we need one? So I'm going to look into this. What is a constitution and why do we need one? Before I venture into what is a constitution and why do we need one, let me venture straight into the document that a lot of people are waiting here to understand. What's going to happen? It is a bill. Gaindro shutu gadzike ndipedze. Shutu gadzike ndipedze. Animgora heti ruvara. Heti ruvara kunakirwa neti. Ndakakura ndiri mwana wa Cook. Ndiri muzukuru wa Cook. Sekuru wangu vainza Diamond. Vaive Cook, vaibika mudzimba dzevarungu vachichwa. Takakura mudhara achitidzisa unowati. Aiti kana akurungati vanza kada. Kunyange iri tsvuku waitonzwa kuda kutoinwa chete. Right. Let me go straight into this bill. The bill seeks to amend the Constitution of Zimbabwe to provide for the extension of the term of parliament in the national interests and for connected purposes. What it means is this bill is being pushed into parliament. They are saying for national interests. If we say for national interests, it must include you and me, because we are part of the nation. So our interests are what are purported here. To say your interests and my interests, then we need this amendment, which is seeking to extend the term of parliament. As you all know that in Zimbabwe, parliamentary and presidential elections are held together to choose a parliament that will last for 5 years, to choose a president that will run a country for 5 years. So it's a cycle. Every 5 years, Zimbabweans, they seek the services of new parliamentarians. If you are happy with your parliamentarian, then you can still vote that person back into parliament to proceed or to continue or for continuity. Right, let's say if you are happy with the performance of your parliamentarian, you can vote that parliamentarian back into parliament for continuity. So there is a bill tabled before the parliament now. This bill, it seeks to extend the term of parliament. They claim it is in the national interest. So I'm not sure whether you guys have been consulted as a nation, Zimbabwe as a country, to say this is what the parliamentarians are discussing with the ruling party to extend their term of parliament. So this, they are saying it's enacted by the president and the parliament of Zimbabwe. Right. Paragraph 1 is the short title. The short title reads, "This act may be cited as the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 3, Act 2025. The act may be cited as the Constitution of Zimbabwe Amendment number 3, Act 2025. Paragraph 2 of this bill reads, amendment of section 143 of the Constitution. So they are aiming to amend section 143 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Section 143, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe is amended by the insertion of the following provision. They said, provided that where it is deemed necessary, the national stability, economic recovery, and electoral reform, Parliament may, by the resolution passed by not less than 2/3 of its total membership, extend the life of Parliament for a period not exceeding 2 years. Such an extension shall not be construed as an amendment to a term limit provision, as it does not alter the maximum number of terms a person may serve in any office, but only extends the duration of the current term. Right? Such an extension shall not be construed as an amendment to a term limit provision. Mobata ipapo. Right? Paragraph 3 is the amendment of section 158. So what they are saying is they are going to put in the Constitution what I've read above. In the paragraph 3, they are saying amendment of section 158. So they are aiming to amend section 143 of our Constitution. And they are aiming to amend section 158 paragraph, subsection 1 of the same Constitution. Section 158 subsection 1 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe is amended by the insertion of the following. Vargui edera the following. Unless Parliament by resolution supported by at least 2/3 of its total membership has extended its own terms in terms of section 143, in which case a general election shall be called by the president at a time of his discretion, but not later than the extended period. Right? This is the bill, ladies and gentlemen. So section 143 of our Constitution and 158 of our Constitution. I can't see number 3. Where did I put number 3? Where did I put number 3? Let's say number 3. I can't see where I put number 3. So Constitution provisions. Let's go on number 4. Right. They say section 95 of the Constitution provides that the presidential term of office begins on the day the president is sworn in and extends for 5 years. Section 95, subsection 2, permits re-election with a 2-term limit. Such an extension shall not be construed as an amendment to a term limit provision. So the term limit provision is section 95 of the Constitution, which provides that the president's term of office begins on the day the president is sworn in and extends to 5 years. So section 92.2, section 92 subsection 2 permits re-election with a two-term limit. So per 5 parkuti, section 328 subsection 7 prohibits amendments to term limit provisions that retroactively extend tenure for incumbents. The proposed deletion of this provision is necessary to allow amendments to apply to current office holders, subject to public endorsement through a referendum. This is an uphill task. Kuti section 328 inorambidza kuti aripo uyu kana pakaitwa an amendment benefit from that amendment. Saka ndo iri kunzi section iyoyo inofanira kubviswa. Kana ichinge yabviswa ngaibviswe nereferendum. Iyoyo section subsection 7 inotaura nezvekuti kana pachinge paitwa extension of term, the incumbent must not benefit. Saka vari kutaura ivo kuti they want to scrape it, they want to scratch it for the benefit of the incumbent or for the benefit of the current sitting president, which is barred by the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Andoda kuti muteerere sai ipapo ngatifambirane. Vanenge vasina kunyatsonzwa taise bvunzai mibvunzo. Bvunzai mibvunzo. Kolana, how are you? Bvunzai mibvunzo. But this is important for Zimbabweans to understand. These are things that have caused an uproar in Zimbabwe for Mnangagwa to step down. Anzi's brother, did you check Trump is following ED 2030 mantra? He also want to change the American Constitution to allow him to be elected beyond his limit. I'm not sure that Americans would do that. So Americans are crazy people. Very crazy people. They can allow that to happen in America. I understand these are very crazy people. But let's look at our Constitution. What is ZANU-PF trying to do? This is what we need to focus on today, so that the people of Zimbabwe really understand. To those who did not read this leaked document, please follow, listen carefully, and then make a decision. And then debate. Debate. Sakatatipa number 6. Paragraph 6. Section 43. Section 143 of this Constitution. It establishes the 5-year parliamentary term. The Section 277 synchronizes council elections with the national elections. The proposed amendments aim to extend these terms to align with the extended presidential term. So what they are saying is, even councillors in Section 143, Section 143E, establish 5-year terms. Even my councillors who are covered by Section 277, taura kuti ma terms ema councillors kana my elections awo paanoitwa anofana kufambirana ne presidential term. Saka ma councillors vari kunziwo there will be extended term of stay in council. Wana Jacob Mafume term of council will also be extended by the same amendment. The impacts and effects of this. Right. So in Section 328, it outlines the process for amending the Constitution, including the requirement for public consultation and approval through a referendum for changes to Chapter 4, Declaration of Rights, and Chapter 16, term limits. The voter registration function currently assigned to ZEC under Section 239 should be reassigned to the Registrar of Births and Death to streamline and enhance efficiency. So I think those are it kudhara izvo. Zvaitwa nana Mudede. Ndozvakunzi izvo zvidzokere futi. Zvakaita kuti tive stuck na Robert Mugabe for years. Kuti mwana Mudede ndo aiona nezveregistration, voters registration. Zvakunzi ngazvidzokere futi kwana Mudede. Zvibviswe kuZEC. Zvoenda kwana Mudede. Saka pa9 wakuti the constituents delimitation function should be transferred to the Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission to ensure greater independence and specialization in electoral boundary determinants. Saka kwakufomwa Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission. Inodeliminate or inodivide ma constituencies. Kubatanidza nekutswanya mamwe. Nekufoma mamwe ma constituencies. Saka kukonzi kwakuve the Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission. I'm not sure whether this commission has always been there or it's a new formation that we will see under these amendments. So the principles of the amendments are, by number 11, the proposed amendments are summarized as follows, right? Extension of terms by amending Section 92, subsection 2 to extend the presidential term of office by a period not exceeding 3 years through a 2/3 parliamentary vote. The provision should also effectively postpone elections for the period in question. Mapabata irapo. Pakudaidzirwa nana Geza kuti aiwaka. Mukuru uyu zvarema zveupresident zvarema. So far he has done nothing as a president of a country. And he is expecting to be there until 2030. And by doing so, he is trying to use the 2/3 majority which he was given by Shabangu to amend this constitution to allow presidential terms. That means Section 92, subsection 2 is going to be extended to allow, is going to be amended to allow the term of extension of term of office. Ya Emerson Mnangagwa. Right? Subsection 2 irikuti, they want to remove the prohibition against the retroactive application of term limits amendment, allowing greater flexibility in their implementation by appealing, by repealing Section 328 of subsection 7. Part 3, paragraph 3, they are saying transfer the voter registration function from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC, to the Registrar of Birth and Deaths. And by striking out Section 239 C, D, and E, and creating a new provision that inserts these provisions. Part 4, establish the Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission, the ZDC. Maybe it's a new creation. Now they've come out open that they want to establish the Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission, ZDC, with the Chapter 12 of the Constitution as the exclusive authority responsible for constituents delimitation, thereby removing this function from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC. Amend Section 660 subsection 1, 161 subsection 1, 1B, 165 subsection 9, 165 subsection 10, 165 subsection 11, and 165 subsection 12. By eliminating references to ZEC and substituting them with the new commission. Furthermore, section 239 subsection F should be removed as a function of ZEC and transferred to the ZDC under a new provision. Part D, my procedural requirements are. So these were proposed principles of the amendments. This is what they are proposing to do. So by proposing that, there are procedural requirements. What are the procedure that they expect to ensure that they gain these amendments? What are the procedure? So, by number 12, in compliance with the section 328, the proposed amendments will undergo the following procedure. Publication of the draft amendments in the Government Gazette at least 90 days before Parliament debate. So what they are going to do, they are going to publish these amendments in the Government Gazette 90 days prior to the debate of the amendments. So it means 3 months vasati vatanga kudebata uku. The procedure yacho ndotaura kuti vanofanirwa kuburitsa muGovernment Gazette zvavari kuzodebata muParliament in 3 months time. Public contribution to ensure citizen participation in the legislative process. That means pakudiwa kuti iwo paitwe ma-public consultations about these amendments. To make sure that the population or the poor or citizens of a country participate in the legislative process. Approval of the amendments by a 2/3 majority in both the National Assembly and the Senate. So what would lower chamber, Ema MP edu, vanofana ku approve. There must be 2/3 majority. Vanofana ku approve this. Then senatorial or senator upper chamber must also approve this, but they need to constitute a 2/3 majority to say they've agreed with this. So, what is the 2/3 majority? 2/3 majority. 2/3 or 20/30 of the one wanenge vari kana vanhu parliament kana mune vanhu 30 kana mune parliament ine vanhu 30, 20 of those people must participate, 20 and above, not less than 20. That's the 2/3 majority kutaurwa panao. It's a very simple mathematics. Kuti kana muparliament yenyu ine vanhu 3, kuti zvaaprovwe zvipanofanira vanhu 2 and above. Kana muri 2, yes, you can approve this. 2/3. Kana muri vanhu 20 out of 30, you can approve this. Saka ndo zvavari kungoda chete. Remember, my previous elections, ZANU-PF did not get that majority. So they had to create their own opposition. And they gave the opposition CCC to a person who Chamisa said does not even recognize, does not even know, who came in as leader of the opposition. Remember, he recalled elected members of parliament. And in most of those recalled parliamentary seats, he never fielded a candidate and gave those seats, donated those seats to ZANU-PF. So that ZANU-PF can have a 2/3 majority to amend. So this is a long-term plan that was done by ZANU-PF. It was done whilst Mnangagwa was in the second term, in the first term. So they planned to say, Patrozosvika after my elections, tofana to die. So they planted Shabangu. Vachimubhadhara mari vachita sei, achatenda marhala achitange semunhu weCCC, aitsvaga mukana wokupinda nawo. And to make the matters worse, he worked with some heavyweights. The people who used to call vice presidents in the party were in the complicity of these things. So this thing has been planned long time ago. They are now implementing what they had planned. This is how evil some people are. Taifamba navo, vamwe vacho neusiku. Look, even pass up a clean. Look down there.
Yeah, they no check.
Yeah. So you understand? Saka ndo zvavanofanirwa kuita kuti vane 2/3 majority yavakapiwa nana Biti nana Welshman Ncube naShabangu. They allowed ZANU-PF to gain 2/3 majority so that they can make amendment of these constitutions. Apa kana mari dzakafamba. Remember, we are dealing with Emmerson Mnangagwa and a very strong financial basis. If you see Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe, he is running 2 economies. One economy is for Zimbabweans, and one economy is for himself and the cartels. Even if you look in their pockets, they go along with the United States dollars, foreign currency. Even when they are paying their whatever, they don't pay them with the local currency, no. Vanovapa ma US dollar. Vanovatengera motikari nema US dollar. But saka pane economy yenyu imimi varombo inoshandisa mazig. Because the economy yava naMnangagwa and the allies inoshandisa ma US dollars. So we are 2 different groups living in the same country. When they are going to buy some groceries and everything, they use US dollar. Imi mnenge mchandisa zig. Unogona kunosvika unzwa kuti zvauri kuda chacho hapana, iye akaene US obva apiwa. Ande murikuona. Saka problem yo iri kuitika nekuti tine vanhu vari mu-opposition vataifungidzira kuti these are stalwarts in the opposition and the people who hoped to gain independence with them. Unfortunately, they backbited the population, the majority. Zimbabweans are suffering because of 3 people. Just 3 people. They've made the country upside down and the country is suffering. An opposition that is complicity. Ndoda kuti mudzamise pfungwa dzenyu kana. Dzamisai pfungwa dzenyu vana veZimbabwe. So, on the issue of approval as a procedure of the amendment by a 2/3 majority in both National Assembly and the Senator, they don't have a problem. They will sail through without even a debate here. Without even a debate. Members of Parliament have been promised that if you amend this constitution and vote Emmerson Mnangagwa, that means we are postponing 2028 elections. Your term of office will be extended. You have 3 more years. That means you have 8 years as a member of Parliament. And they are likely to gain more, to get more money from ZANU-PF for that. The reason, they just want to continue looting the country. The opposition has become complicit in the looting of our resources in the country. Allowing Zvigananda 3 more years. It will be like 2 terms without elections in a country. So, number 4, submission to a national referendum for final endorsement by the electorate. That means, after that, if the parliament says yes, then they need to bring these amendments to the people so that the people are going to vote. Ndo pachange pachiruwa vanhu. Akasike kutanga vanhu vazhinji vanongona kuti zvatotanga vana madzibaba veshanduko vari kupisirwa misha. Vanhu vachange vachirohwa kuti why isusu tengeta kukambena vote no. Kunenge vanenge vachikambena vote yes. Saka what we need to do, we need to punish certain people in Zimbabwe. Certain people must heavily be punished. And atifane kuregerera zvakadaro zvichiitika munyika medu. We have got individuals that needs to face that need to face instant justice, that needs to face the majority, that needs to answer to majority. Certain individuals must answer to majority. Why is this happening? Is this the politics that Zimbabweans voted for? So they have got a justification of the amendments. They are saying their first justification is the proposed amendments balance the need for government stability with the democratic accountability. This does not make sense at all. Doesn't make sense at all. That the proposed amendments seeks to balance the need for government stability. What stability are they talking about? So they need to balance the government stability with the democratic accountability. So you mean ZANU-PF are coming back to you and say, oh, what we have done for the last 45 years, we had no accountability. And the people still believe that if you amend the constitution and allow them 3 more years, that will bring accountability. Ndo pataitaura paya pamaiona ndaitukwa hanzi kuita macertificates azviroto akadzidza. Unenge uchiudzwa nemunhu asina kana degree, asina kana diploma, asina kana certificate raanaro, pamwe une O level yacho yakatofoira. Ndo patinenge ichitaura paya kuti tasvika panhu paakuda reasoning, panhu paakuda wisdom. Ndopaunoona mumwe munhu achifunga achiguma, unotoona kuti Bururu aguma kufunga. Tomubatsira sei kuti afunge zvakanaka munhu aguma kufunga. Because kana wakuuya someone mbavha ichiuya kutaura, this is a Conman language. Language yechirakashi, Conman's language. Yekutaura kuti the proposed amendments, manzwa ma-amendments anachitaura aya, kuti they seek to balance the need for government stability and democratic accountability. Honestly, do you think extending the term of office Emmerson Mnangagwa with 3 more years, that another term unelected in office, that will give Zimbabwe government stability, and that will give democratic accountability? Can we honestly say that? Pakuda critical thinking. We don't need to criticize here, but we need critical thinking. Could if we extend the term of office ya Emmerson Mnangagwa with what we are seeing today, achita kagara pasi akabata rushaya rwake sobva adaizira kuti pamai weli akwa vazunza matako. Sorry for this language. Vazunza magaro, a lighter word. Kutitengera ma celebrities, ma musicians SM Zimbabwe vatengere motikari uchivapa nekeshi isiri kuwanikwa nemunhu ari kwaMuzarabani, isiri kuwanikwa nemunhu ari kurima every day kuti matura azare. Saka with all those shenanigans, do we honestly believe as Zimbabweans that if you extend the term of office of the current parliament, that will give democratic stability? If Mnangagwa gets 3 more years in office, would that give government stability? Obviously, the answer is no. Most people might not know what stability means, might not know what democracy means. Democracy, it was 1 man, 1 vote. So allowing someone for 3 more years without being voted into office by the electorate does not give stability, does not make sense. So the other justification is Transferring voter registration functions to the registrar of births and death is expected to enhance efficiency and improve voters' roll accuracy. So they are coming back to our arguments that the voters' roll is in shambles. And they had guts to use a voters' roll in shambles. Now they come and admit to what we have been saying time and again. So they want the registrar to take over registration of voters in a country. It will be a good idea if we look it from another way. Because they know that the registrar's office has got the records to tell you that a person with this registration or this numbers that you troops, this person is deceased, remove him from the voters' roll. It will be a very good office for that. It will be a very good office for compiling a voters' roll, because they will use the current registered Zimbabweans. Not zvataiona zvaitwa nezeki zviya zvekuti vanhu vakafa vana mai vangu vakafa 2002. She's still on the voters' roll. And and vanovhota vakafa kudaro. ZANU-PF vichinzi yawana majority. But is this the right procedure to put or to give these powers to registrar's office under such an amendment? We need critical thinking. We need people who reason here. Imboti udzayo pfungwa dzenyu vanhu vamira kutaipa taipai muchiudza pfungwa dzenyu. Inini manje ndiri kutizai paFacebook, because vanhu paFacebook they don't engage the way vanhu vari kuTwitter engage. I think if I go to Twitter I will engage a lot of people, because I need vanhu vanofunga, people who reason. Tasvika pari crucial pekuti tiri kubvunza kuti if you extend Emmerson Mnangagwa's presidential term by 3 more years, would that guarantee government stability and democratic accountability? My answer is no, and I've got reasons to say no. Would you transfer of voter registration to registrar's office? Kunoregister my birth and my dates kuya. Does that enhance efficiency? What is efficiency? They are just playing with words here so that you guys can get confused. There is nothing new that they are stating here. They have done this. For you to be a registered voter, you need to have a birth certificate. You need to have an ID with an ID number. So you mean ZEC was registering even deceased people without confirming with the registrar? Because the database must be the same. Whoever is active in Zimbabwe, every Zimbabwean needs to be on the voters' roll. Every Zimbabwean, if you reach the age of 18, you need to be automatically there, whether you registered or not. Because first of all, you've got a birth certificate which is registered in Zimbabwe. Secondly, you've got a national ID which is registered in Zimbabwe. How come when you turn 18, you don't find your name in the voter registration book? How come? Wakunzi wewe chuya uregister munyika mawakazvarirwa, munyika mawakapiwa chitupa. Wakunzi chuya uregister kuvota. It doesn't make sense. I used to ask people here, how does that make sense? Kuti munhu akazvarirwa munyika yeZimbabwe unzi wewe uregister kuvota. Zvinombofamba sei? Unofanirwa kuti uchingotena 18 Government yotokunyorera tsamba kuti iwe tatokuisa registration wakutonovhota. What you simply need to do is to go and confirm whether your name is there. But it should automatically appear. The more you, once you turn 18, your name should automatically appear on the voters roll. Not good hands, we are nechitupa, we are proof of residence, we are nechi, we are registered. That must not be like that. That mustn't be like that. How about constitutions yacho register? Ukatarisa chitupa chako chinotokuudza kuti uri district ripi, uri province ipi. Changu chitupa chinotanga na 38 because andiri district rekaroi. Andiri Karoi district inowanika kupi? Kumashonaland West uku. Vamwe vanhu vane nhamba dzinotanga na 38 dzozopera na 63. Kuratidza kuti anenge akaregistrwa kuHarare kunyange achibva kuRungwe. Imbotarisai zvitupa zvenyu. Ndozvo zvakaita vamwe. Kunotanga na 38 ozopera na 63 kumberi. 63 Harare. Saka automatically they know where you are. They know where you are. They know the addresses. They know where you are supposed to vote. Saka panozonzi endai munotarisa paipai kuti zviri accurate here. Ndipo paunofanirwa kuenda unochinja cheto. Ayo handichagara apa ndakugara kwakati kugadzirisa address yako. Kwete kuti zviri kunzi enda unotanga kuregister patsva iwewe. Uya ne what? Iwe wakazvarwa muZimbabwe. Iwe une ID yeZimbabwe. Iwe une birth certificate renyika yeZimbabwe. It doesn't make sense. Saka they want to establish the Zimbabwe Delimitation Commission as the sole authority for constituents boundaries, will ensure impartiality and enhance electoral integrity. So ZANU-PF government, they were impartial in the delimitation. We go back to where we split in 2005, where we argued that these constituencies for the senator were not demarcated in a way that give advantage or a neutrality to anyone. It was delimited in a way that will benefit ZANU-PF. Vamwe vedu vekubulawayo vanaulushime ncube vakati aiwa hande ime election because they knew kuti kuna Bulawayo kwaive ne-protest vote. They were going to sweep clean there. But how about those in Harare? We were never gonna clean sweep because most of these constituencies, why would one M town, you better one Kuruzeva, one M town, you better two Kuruzeva. That means the advantage the rural party is to go and intimidate people. But you have to ask over what the ZANU-PF here with. Because I remember some constituencies, there were 3 constituencies combined together to form one senatorial constituency in 2005. I remember that very well. So their justification is to say they want to establish this ZDC for impartiality and to enhance electoral integrity. So my words are Chandiswa Panapa. 1 is for government stability and democratic accountability as a justification. 2, they want to enhance efficiency and improve voters' roll. 3, they want to ensure impartiality and enhance electoral integrity. So these were two words used for justification to say this is the reason why we need an amendment. Apana siruziva why ZANU-PF needs an amendment here. It's just a way of hoodwinking you guys to think this will work in favor of the Zimbabweans. So, if we say this memorandum yakuenda cabinet manje, it memorandum by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs on the proposed amendments to the Constitution of Zimbabwe to extend the terms of office and assigning Zimbabwe Electoral Commission's functions to voter registration, and constituency delimitation. This was the purpose of this. And this has been sent to cabinet to say, ndozvatinoda kuita. So the cabinet is hereby called upon to consider and approve the proposed amendments to the Constitution of Zimbabwe to extend terms of office for the president, vice president, parliament, and local councils, and reassign electoral function. The proposed amendments aim to extend the presidential parliament and council terms of office for a period not exceeding 3 years, only once through a 2/3 parliamentary vote to enhance governance stability, align electoral cycles, and foster continuity in the implementation of long-term national development policies. The amendment will effectively postpone elections for a 3-year period. This amendment will effectively postpone elections for a 3-year period. Right. We all know what is happening in Triple C. We all know kuti penezve vakutuka vachishauda vakangana kuziva kuti ndisu taiva finance kuti vapinde muparliament. Vakutuka vachishauda. And vari kushauda vachitsoziva kuti if this amendment, ivo vakavotera kuti this amendment should go through. Avachinei nesu. They have nothing to do with the electoral. Apana achashka kuti 2028 I will not go back to parliament. They want to benefit 3 more years. Vachitengesa zvavari kuita izvo. Vachituka zvavari kuita izvo. So amend the constitution to transfer voter registration function. Transfer the authority of the constituent delimitation exercise from ZEC to ZDC. These reforms require my amendments. Saka, this is the document, ladies and gentlemen, which leaked. But this document, they never thought that this document would leak. And this document is leaked to the public. This is why we are discussing this document tonight. That regarding the tange, the actual debate. Kuti vanhu vazive kuti zvii zviri kutaurwa nezvazvo nhasi. Kondoziva kuti kuna mwana wane limited data. Vamwe vatoenda data ratopera. Vanenge vachida kunzwa. Vamwe vatozomhanya kuYouTube. Tonoita sei tozonoona chaachimunya. So these are the amendments that Mnangagwa is aiming to achieve by amending the constitution of a country. Right. Constitution. What is a constitution? A constitution is the supreme law of a country. This supreme law is designed to protect you as a citizen of the country. It's also designed to enhance protection of a country. Zimbabwe is also put in place for you and me to be proud of our country, to be proud of our laws in that country. And most of the laws that we use, some of them are made in parliament. Some of them are made in courts of law by the judiciary. So apana mtemo watofana kubvumirwa unotidzvanyirira. Ukaona mtemo mizhinji iri kupasiswa muparliament ne2/3 majority ekunzi amufane kuungana, mukaungana muri 2 masungwa mukaita sei unogona kuenda kujeri usina bhero. Zvese zvimutemo zviri kuitwa is because we are under oppression, a tyranny. So the first function of a constitution is to provide a set of basic rules that allow the minimal coordination among members of a society or among members of a country or among citizens. This is the first function of a constitution. A constitution's first function is to provide a set of basic rules. Those basic rules allow for minimal coordination amongst citizens of a country. That is the first function of a constitution. Constitution specify who has the power to make decisions in a society or in a country. So if you look at our constitution, Zimbabwe constitution, the power to make decision is centered on citizens of a country. This is why they talk of a referendum. Because a referendum is where you ordinary Zimbabweans exercise their powers. So let the parliament do whatever they want to do. They should not forget that they are in parliament to represent us. They must consult with us before they consent to an amendment in parliament. Any member of parliament who goes to parliament and agree on this amendment must be removed automatically. That person is not representing the constituents. What the people of Zimbabwe wants is what the member of parliament is going to represent. What a member of parliament, munhu atakasarudza isusu kuti aende unomirira zvido zvedu muparliament. Munhu uyu, bhozi muZimbabwe mumwe nemumwe anofanira kuenda kuparliament kunonzwikwa zvido zvake zvaanoda. But the parliament is very small, cannot accommodate 16 million people. As a result, togara pasi toti toda kutuma munhu anoenda kuparliament onotimirira kuti paanodzoka kwatiri tomuudza kuti ena kuti zvakati saka notora zvichemo zveuyuyu zvese okukombaina oenda nazvo kuparliament osvika otaura kuti constituency kwangu hakusina bridge. Vanhu variko vari kuchema vada bridge rekuti vayambuka vachinotengesa zvavo vachidzoka. Hurumende yoallocata mari kunovakwa bridge. That is the purpose of a member of parliament. So when it comes to such amendments of a constitution, a member of parliament must come back to us. Must consult us. Kuti varume pane mutemo wakati. Munondibvumirawo here kuti ndiende ndonosaina mutemo uyu. Kuti ndiwane makore 3 pamusoro pemakandipa 5. Ndichikumirirai. Then the people say yes or no. Once the people say no, that member of parliament must go and vote against that amendment. So, the constitution of a country, it gives powers. It specifies who has the power to make a decision. Referendum. Referendum gives power for citizens to make a decision, to say yes or no to these amendments. So the constitution also decides how the government will be constituted. Hurumende change yakamira sei, constitution inotaura nezvazvo. Constitution ine limit. It limits the powers of the government. Losaka uchiona muconstitution menyu mizonzi muri kuiswa ma-rights evanhu, ma-human rights. Kulimita ma-powers ehurumende. Ukaona hurumende ichitumira masoja, like what we witnessed on the 1st of August 2018, where soldiers were deployed by Mnangagwa and gunned down innocent civilians. That means the government has overstayed or overstepped its limits. Because there are powers, government is given powers to make sure each and every citizen of a country is protected. Government has got no powers to slaughter its citizens. Once you see a government slaughtering its citizens, that means that government has turned rogue. It's no longer abiding to the constitution of the country. And that government must fall. When we say that government must fall, Zimbabweans must utilize every means and method in their power to remove that government. This is why Makuona Madara Yana Gezaya. vaungana manje vakutaura kuti Mnangagwa must go and this government must dissolve. Vakuchitaura ma-powers ema-citizens of a country which are enshrined in our constitution. Saka, the constitution limit the power of the government. If you look at government in Zimbabwe now, it is not agreeing with the constitution. This is why you see they are now calling for these amendments. But they don't want to be limited in powers by the constitution. And surprisingly, Mnangagwa will call himself a constitutionalist who does not want to abide by the constitution of a country. This is a new constitution that was put recently in 2013. I think 11 or 12 years ago. This is when this constitution was put in place by Zimbabweans. And the Zimbabweans agreed to it. And no one should amend this constitution. Second, constitution, it places limits on what restrictions the government can impose on its citizens. Because ukadakuona constitution yedu kwane mtemo imwe yakaiswa iri against constitution inonzana mopa. Yekuti you are not allowed mumbama ndakagara munomu. My friends angu akauya 2-3 takutonwa doro takutotaura nyaya dzedu tagara pa round table. The police will come and arrest us. You have seen it happening kunana Jameson Timber and others being taken into custody. Just kungoti maunganiremba menyu muri kutaura nezvei. The government does not want people kuti vaungane kuti vataure nezvenyika yavo. But these are limits which are placed. These are, Constitution placed these limits on what restrictions the government can impose on its citizens. But that is not in our constitution. Kuti maunganire mafambire muri 3 muchisungwa muchinovharwa kujela muchinyimwa bhero. Our constitution recognize that bail is a right. You've got right to bail. No matter you are black or white, once arrested by the police, taken to court, you are entitled to bail. Bail is your right. So these are some of the restrictions the government face in the constitution, which our government is not following. So the constitution also creates conditions for the government to fulfill the aspirations of a society and establish a just society. That is what the constitution does. But is our society or our country a just society? What does our constitution say? Our aspirations, are they being fulfilled by this government? And it's more. People, we agree and disagree, but we abide by the constitution of a country. And these people now, they are trying to amend the limits that were put by the constitution to say, kana uri president 5 years zvatopera, kana uri the councillor 5 years zvatopera. And these people are not happy with that. They want to amend this constitution. So purpose of a constitution, ladies and gentlemen, in my purposes akawanda that it lays down the decision makers of the country. Who are the decision makers of the country? The people, not the parliament. Because the parliament represents the people. A member of parliament should go back to the people and hear what the people are saying. Because the constitution, it lays down, we are the decision makers. This is what is laid down in the Zimbabwe constitution. We are the decision makers. And our members of parliament must abide by what we tell them, what we say. If they don't listen to us, most of them, you have seen them, but they no longer value the people who voted them. They are now taking themselves as decision makers of a country. We are the decision makers. The people, the majority, must be decision makers. We decide what we want. We tell our member of parliament to go and represent us. That the people have said they want this. If we want the amendment, we tell our member of parliament we need that. If we don't want it, we tell our member of parliament go vote against it. We don't want it. Because we are the majority. We are laid down in the constitution as decision makers. This is why you see in a country where there is democracy, they hold a referendum. So, that is the purpose of a constitution. It tells us how the decision makers choose their representative. We go into an election. Our constitution tells us we are the decision makers. How do we choose our representative? It lays down how a member of parliament is elected to go and represent us. So, in a democratic society, the president must rely on those people chosen by the people. So the president or the constitution or the constituents or the government, how the government is constituted, is determined by the members of parliament we choose to go into parliament. I expect the member of parliament wangu kuti aite minister of justice. Kana kuti member of parliament aka-electwa nevanhu kuti aite minister of finance. Member, because ane mandate yevanhu. The government must be constituted that way. And this must be stated in our constitution. And already it is in our constitution. So the constitution's purpose also is to lay down the limits and the powers of the government, which I have stated. Lays down the duties of the citizens. What are the duties of the citizens? When it comes to these amendments, that was all dzichapwanya upenyu hwevanhu, dzichaita mbavha dzirambe dzichiba munyika medu. What are your duties? Is to defy the government. So I'm urging Zimbabweans to defy the government. To defy the government in regard to the constitutional amendments. When we say people must stay away, you must stay away. The government must feel this. When we say we need to demonstrate, go into the roads, let's demonstrate and go into the roads. These are powers stated in our constitution. The duties of citizens. We have got a duty to defy this type of amendments. We have got a duty to tell Mnangagwa that you must never extend your term illegally to 3 years by buying CCC members of parliament, by forcing members of parliament from ZANU-PF to sign these amendments and give a go-ahead to parliament must be extended. Kana uri member of parliament unotonyara. You've never done anything for your constituents. Since you were elected, you have never gone back to the people to hear what the people want, to hear what the people are saying. And you want a 3-year extension illegally. Isu tukunotaura yo atichakudi member of parliament uyu atichamudu uyu. Iwo ndopa kutoenda unoona Mnangagwa kuti handipei mari ndokuvhoterai mudhara 3 munoenda kutokupai 3 more years because you are beneficiary of that. The councillors wana mafume vachiboko wana doing, they are beneficiary of that. So the constitution must lay down such duties of a citizen. We expect the constitution to lay down that. I expect the constitution to elaborate on the aspirations of the society. I am saying we no longer need 90% or so of the members of parliament we elected. We no longer need them. They've done nothing. They can't stop corruption. The country is burning. They can't better the lives of the people. Ordinary people of Zimbabwe are suffering. So, we aspire that Mnangagwa and all those members of parliament step down today because of their failures. And this must be elaborated in our constitution. The constitution tells how conditions for a just society are created. For example, panofana kuve abolition of the untouchability. You have seen it in our country. We have got ministers vari kufambana nachivayo vanika untouchability kavanako. Members of parliament edu triple C atakarwisa kuti vapinde parliament vanika maka untouchability kavanako. Ukanzwa vachinyora kana pa social media, you wonder, are these the same people who were kneeling down before you praying kuti ndivoterei? Vatovenika maka untouchability kavanako. Saka that untouchability must be eradicated by the constitution of a country. They must be accountable to the constituents, to the people who voted them. Not once more votera, you have lost control of your member of parliament. Untouchability, you can't recall him as a constituent. So the constitution of a country enable and restrict certain provisions, ladies and gentlemen. Because for a good constitution, like Yataka Isa, we cannot say it's a very good constitution. They 2013 year. But at least this constitution consists of a fine balance of both enabling provisions and restricting provisions. Ukaiverenga constitution ye Zimbabwe, ine kamwe kaenako, ine kadatke kuti enable certain provisions. And it restrict certain provisions, which are hating the current government to the extent that they believe that that constitution must be torn and thrown into the pit latrine, and they start using their ZANU-PF mantra to run Zimbabwe. So enabling provisions are those that help achieving of the goals of society. Those are enabling ones. By encouraging certain things that must be in our constitution. What does this enabling provision do to us? What are we achieving as a society? What are we achieving? Because musaka tukutaura kuti tikuda mabasa hakuna. Minda atakapuwa atakagara atakakura mamisha matakazvarwa kune makuva emadzekuru. Machaina ari kufukura makuva vachitaura kuti pane ngoda pane goridhe. Vachidhura dzimba dzichitsemuka vanhu vachidzingwa kumaruzevha. Toenda kupi munyika yedu? Vazhinji vacho havana kana dzimba mumatauni vanhu vari kumaruzevha. Dzimba dziri kudhurwa, misha iri kuvharwa. Vanhu vari kudzingwa pavakakurira pane makuva. Anotoda kurima witi. Bvai pano tirime witi yenyika. Zvakamboitika kupi izvozvo? Kumapurazi atakatorera varungu ari kuite. Hakuna mapurazi ari kurimwa. But muenda unobvisa vanhu vari kuruzevha, kuma-reserved areas. Todzokera here kuLand Apportionment Act. Tonoverenga ma-rules ariko. Akakrieta maruzevha atinawo. Mutidzinga futi nemaChina. Saka tikutaura kuti ma-enabling provisions are those that help in achieving the goals of the society by encouraging certain things. This must be in the constitution. Restricting provisions, as the name suggests, restrict the government or the citizens. The government must be restricted from removing vanhu vari kumaruzevha kubva mavanogara. We are discussing about the constitution, what the constitution must provide. Ma-restrictions aripo, mamwe anoenda kuhurumende. Tine ma-restrictions ari kuma-citizens ekuti haubvumirwi kuba, haubvumirwi kuita sei, majeri akavakwa ekuti ma-restrictions wayo ukatadza kumaita unopedzisira watsotsi wamujere. Ukarepa unoenda kujeri, ukaba unoenda kujeri. Andi muri kunzwa. So the purpose of both the provisions are the same. Constitution yenyika ngaitipo ma-provisions wayo. So we have got also ultimate purpose of the constitution. What is the ultimate purpose of a Zimbabwe constitution? Constitution yedu basa rayo nderei ultimately. If you read it carefully, you will understand that it expresses the fundamental identity of a people. For you to be a Zimbabwean, to be known as a Zimbabwean, they are fine, but it's expressed in our constitution. These fundamental identity are in our constitution. That's the ultimate purpose of the constitution. It expresses the fundamental identity of a people. I am a Zimbabwean. Pane fundamental identity ripo. Ukafamba ezvinozvi kana muno mu UK, vanozoti vanhu va Zimbabwe. It's because of those fundamental identities expressed in our constitution. Pane zvaunozvi identify nazvo kuti I'm a Zimbabwe. The collective entity of the people of a nation comes into existence through their constitution. This collective entity kushandira nyika yedu. Nezvinozvi ukashanda panapa ukawana mari, autumire kugaa kuUganda, autumire kuKenya, unotumira kuZimbabwe ndokune hama dzako. Saka tine collective entity katinako Zimbabweans for the existence of our country. Unonzwa vachitotaura government itaura kuti mari yatiri kushandisa yakabva kudiaspora. Yakabva kudiaspora. Anditi maona. Vanhu vanenge vavata. Pandaitamba bhora, hanzi let's queue one by one. Aiwa mukoma Chris atidaro. Nothing will change anything with these cowards. ZANU-PF can't change anything. It's just making people to accept the nonsense. Asi kwataka mzaya, asi kwakaterere mzaya wangu. Kwana sekuru wako ndekupi. Kunonzi kwana. Sekuru Andrew, munoya ku-inbox. Totaura ndomusha kwa mayangu kwakaterereka ndomusha kwa mayangu. Munoya ku-inbox. Totaura vanhu vacho munogona kuvaziva. As government marara. Munoya ku-inbox. Musarega kuya ku-inbox. Mundipa namba dzenyu totaura over the phone. Anditi maona 25 past 11. Regai ndi blouse mangwana ndiri kuenda kubasa. Regai ndikasire nditi blah blah blah. Saka naitaura ndikati ultimate purpose of the constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Ultimate purpose of the constitution. There is this collective entity of the people of a nation. This comes into existence through the constitution. It gives political identity to the people as well. It establishes moral identity. So we have got moral identity. We have got political identity. We have got this collective entity as a nation. That is the ultimate purposes of a constitution. Saka pane zvese zvandataura. Nekwandabva ndatanga document rakalika iri. Riri kuproposwa nana Ziyambi kuti vaite political amendments. Vaite extend the life of the parliament, extend the life of the council, extend the life of the president by 3 years. Kuti akwarira kupostpone 2028 elections kuti akuna chichaitika, ma-elections ngaamiri. Bozi Mnangagwa second term yaakupera. Saka vada kuti arambe aripo aite life president. So they are trying to amend this. And by the time we reach 3 more years dzacho, vanenge vachida kuramba vachimaextendera kuti aite life president like Mugabe. So I am saying the ultimate purpose of the constitution is to put restrictions on that, and the people of Zimbabwe must stop it. That must never happen. That must never happen. Takaenda kuchikoro takadzidza, takadziverenga constitution idzi. Ma-human rights hapana chatisingazive isusu. Iwewe neni takaenda kuchikoro. Kunyange wakaperera grade 7, ma-human rights wakatombomaverenga. The right to life zvirimo muconstitution nenyika tiri kuprimary. Saka hapana muZimbabwe asingagona kunyora, asingagona kuverenga, asinganzwise zvandiri kutaura izvi. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti what is a constitution? Ukaiona constitution yakabatwa naChiwenga so, unoona riri a document. But what is it in that document? That document embodies the norms by which the state is to be constituted and the country is to be governed. It is a document, of course. If you look at it, it's a document. Don't listen to kunana Mahia. Mahia akanga asiri haasi more veteran. Vanhu more veterans vakamuramba. Zvanzi kana ari more veteran ngaatitaurire Mahia kuti gore rakajoina magandanga muhondo igore ripi, akatrainwa kupi, masquad mates aka akatrainwa vaiva nani, apedza kutrainwa akaoperata kupi kwaakaenda kunoparata hondo. Masembo points anga ari pakapera hondo ndepapi haungatadza kuziva. Ina ndikatadza kuziva instructor akanditraina. Kunyange kana ndikasvika 90 years ukandibvunza kuti ukaenda pachikurubi training depot wakatrainwa nani, ndakarara ndokuziva ndakatrainwa naMudhara Nyakayembe. Ukandibvunza kuti special tactics wakatrainwa nani, ndokuziva ndakatrainwa nana Chinyama, ndakatrainwa nana Mapiye, ndakatrainwa naShoko, ndakatrainwa naMaodzeki. Vanhu ava handivakanganwa. Bosi vakanditraina zvino ndakanyatsoona kuti pana ndatrainwa ndadzidziswa basa. Saka vana mahiya ukavabvunza nhasi kuti pavakaenda kuhondo kana pavanga vari kana achitaura akanotrainwa kuTanzania akatrainwa squad ipi aive nanani. Inini ukandibvunza vanhu vanga vari musquad mangu vese ndokudza vese. Taiva tina Rafael Mandofa, tanga tinana Claudius Kasimo, tanga tinana Gumbo Fire, takanga tinana Diziri imba yarwo, takanga tinana chainzani chimupana chandakamboda kuchaza nevanga. Azano uchaza mupana wakatamba nini. Chainzi George Maigurira. Yakariri zimonya zoro. Mpana iwo ndikati ita zvaroda kuita uno. Apa nafurirwa nemufesi wangu manje na Skosana Mduduzi. Zvikanzi Shepard mutaurire kuti akatodza nechindevele. Zvikanzi Shepard mutaurire Maigurira kuti nyakugwaza ngenqamu. Nyakufake nqamu. Unoona nanhasi katikazvifuka ndofane kuseka kuti mupana Skosana Mduduzi akauya akanditi Shapiro, ndikati chiko blazi chiko mupana mezvikanzi mchele lo Maigurira nyakugwaza mchele lo nyakugwaza wena chomi nyakugwaza void. Apa ndaipiwa okapi zvikanzi obangai ngwaze. Kadini vana zvinhu zvatisingakanganwi, my experiences zvatisingakanganwi zvainakidza andinua. Saka ndo zvirimo. Constitution, what is a constitution, guys? It's a document that embodies the norms by which the state is to be constituted and the country is to be governed. It's stipulated clearly in the constitution of a country. So constitutions may be written or unwritten. If you come to England, they've got an unwritten constitution. If you go to Zimbabwe, we've got a written constitution. Tinayo yakanyogwa constitution in Zimbabwe. And the phone yangu yakuda kudzima, I can't see whether. Tinayo constitution yakanyorwa muZimbabwe. Some other countries, they've got unwritten constitutions. So it is of value only in its effective. But it is of value only if it is effective. If you look at the constitution of Zimbabwe, it's no longer effective because what the government does is unconstitutional. The effectiveness of a constitution, it depends on the mode of promulgation. It depends on the provisions in the constitution. It depends on the balanced institutional design for it to be effective. And saka muri kuona takadrafta this constitution yedu ikaapprove ikatanga kushanda muna 2013 yaakunzi iyo ngaichidimburwa nani naEmmerson Mnangagwa. And yaakunzi ngaichidimburwa naEmmerson Mnangagwa. He is trying to mutilate the constitution because he is happy with the communal violence that we have seen rising recently, where Madzibaba Shanduko's house was burnt. Vana vakatsvira mumba. Zimbabwe is a country today with the political uncertainty. ZANU-PF is reeling under political uncertainty. ZANU-PF has created social instability and the extreme inequality in our country. Kwane ukatarisa ndati inini ndichitanga Zimbabwe ine two economies. One economy is run na president nevanhu vake. The second economy ndeyenyimimi yekuti aumbofaona ordinary citizen ane US dollar muhomwe anenge achinzitenga neRTGS. Gavhena wenyika anogadzira mapepa mabhondi okuti enda unotenga chikafu nawo iwo vachishandisa mari. We've got two economies, one for ZANU-PF and the other one for the majority. So that created a political instability, a social instability in our country. So how do we make this constitution work? How do we make it work? What are the objectives of the people of Zimbabwe? Because if you look at Zimbabwe, it must be an independent country. It must be a sovereign, a republic. Is it what Zimbabwe is like today? Because ukada kutarisa munyika medu takambotongawo nemaBritish. Vakambotitonga maBritish. Ndo vakafoma materitories amunoona. Ukaenda territory inonzi Zimbabwe is a design or a formation of the British. Until now the British will call it their property. Because ndo vakadraw a map kuti tichatora apa neapa neapa neapa, this will become our territory. Saka territory iyoyi tatove autonomous kwairi, takuzvitonga kuzere. All powers or authority of sovereign has been transferred by the British kwatiri after we gained independence. Saka taane isusu constitution yedu yatakanyora inofanirwa kuve ichishanda muZimbabwe. Ukatasa vanhu vese vari muZimbabwe, they must be guaranteed of social, economic and political justice, which is not happening in Zimbabwe. We must have this equality of status. Hakuna anonzi uyu anofanira kupfuma kupfuura mumwe, uyu anofanira kunzi anonorapwa kunze kwenyika, mumwe asingarapwa kunze kwenyika, mumwe achifa nhasi nechirwere chinorapika, mumwe achienda achinogadzirwa achipona. So we must have equality of status in our country. We must have opportunities, and we are all equal before the law. Kana uchipuwa bhero iwewe wasungwa, ko chiri kupa kuti Blessed Mhlanga asawane bhero chi. So all those fundamental freedoms must be recognized by our constitution. That's the objective of you being a Zimbabwean, the objective of me being a Zimbabwean. Tinema fundamental freedoms atofana kuenjoy, which we are not enjoying. Hainzwa vanhu vaitaura ranzi Mupana nyoka yemabhunu angotaura zvaakataura achinzi akatiza kupinda muSouth Africa vachibva vambata muSouth Africa. Saka unotaura hatisina here freedom of expression in our country. It's a fundamental right. It's a fundamental freedom that we must enjoy. Freedom of expression, speech, expression, belief. Kana kunamata faith. Kunamata unofana kuve freedom yekunamata Mwari waunoda. Kunoita zvaunoda this faith. Association yako, you must associate yourself with the people you want. And you know, but all those fundamental freedoms or fundamental rights, they are not guaranteed in our country. And what is the purpose of this constitution? When we can't be guaranteed such rights in our country. Nupata kutauraga kuti ukanzwa madhara yakudaidzira kuti Mnangagwa has failed. This is how Mnangagwa failed. This is why we are saying Mnangagwa must go today. As a president, as a person who was entrusted with the coat of arms to be the first citizen of a country, he has failed to guarantee us our fundamental freedoms. As I'm speaking, why? We have got Blessed Mhlanga, who is incarcerated without bail. We had Job Scala, who spent time 2 years in prison without bail. We had Wana Jacob Bongari Vuma, Wana Hopo Oshingono. They spent time in prison without bail. So we've got a government that has got a constitution, a document that stipulates this, to say, give these citizens their fundamental rights. And Mnangagwa has failed to guarantee us our fundamental rights. Bozi ukatarisa zvakafanana nemandevele mandex anatsano vedu down matebeleland ndoko anatsano vedu because tine vanako tine vana variko kunana matebeleland. That tribe is a minority tribe. Iyo. If we look backward, vane matribal areas avo, vane nzvimbo dzavo dzavanoyeresa, vana matobo vanani dzavanoyeresa. They should be allowed kuyeresa nzvimbo dzavo vachipractice their culture without restriction. Because they are part of Zimbabwe. And the government must provide adequate safeguards to guard them. Tikadzokera kugukura hundi ndosaka tutaura na Mnangagwa kuti you must apologize to those people, to the people of Lawan. You must compensate. Because 45 years of independence, you have never even stated about compensating them. Vanhu vese vakafa kweko, they were not dissidents. Makasiya vana dziri nherera, vamwe vacho vanatozoenda kana kuzvikoro vakatiza vakapinda munana Bulawayo, munana South Africa nekuBotswana. Izvozvo vanhu vanotuka kuti mandere haana kudzidza. Mandere mazhinji akatiza akapinda munana vaitiza hondo. Kana wakamboona musha wako uchipiswa, sekuru kana baba wako vachiurawa apa, honestly haumiri unotiza. Because the state has failed even to protect, to use the constitution of Zimbabwe to protect those Zimbabweans. When this country we call Zimbabwe today was demarcated, there was no Zimbabwe. When the British came, they saw these Ndeveles there. They demarcated that area to call this is Rhodesia, and they were enclosed in there. They are citizens of that country. We don't need to treat them as second-hand people. No, they are citizens of Zimbabwe. The freedoms that you have are the freedoms that they need to enjoy. And in the morning. Ona Shepherd, tinotaurisa nenyaya yekuti tavhurika brain. Enda kuchikoro kwakanaka. Hanzi todhauta wisdom yako. Hanzi taurise. Hanzi kuvakuru vai vakati vedu aluta continue here ne shutdown. Vari kutipa manotsi enyu amaipiwa that day. Ndozvandatanga kutaura Esling. Ndozvandatanga kutaura kuti ma-amendments arikuda kuitwa wacho asimudza mhepo dzese dzapo idzi dzekuti Mnangagwa must go today. This is exactly what I'm saying. Andinoona saka taakutaura tichiti the territorial integrity of the Republic of Zimbabwe and its sovereign rights on land must be enjoyed by each and every Zimbabwean. We must maintain them according to justice and law of a civilized nation. If you look at Zimbabwe, there is nothing that can show that this country is civilized. There is nothing we can show to the world that our territorial integrity of the nation and our sovereign rights are well protected by the current government. We are so uncivilized. Zimbabwe, if you go to Southern Africa, it is the only country and owner you never are uncivilized. Because if we were civilized, by now we should be in a 21st century, knowing what we want. Electricity load shedding mustn't be there in our country. Atifanira kufamba road dzine matope madhaga. Kutadza kudrive motikari yakanaka kana marori da achitakura zvikafu zvedu. They can't reach certain areas, hakuna mabridge akapwanyika. In a 21st century, 45 years of independence. We are uncivilized. The way we do our politics is uncivilized. We cannot allow Mnangagwa to do what he's doing. If we were civilized, we couldn't do that. We couldn't allow that. Because right now, we took the land from the British. We took the land. What are we doing with the land? Because the land to be honest with you, the land will make full and willing contribution to the promotion of peace in our country and welfare of mankind. Zimbabweans would produce enough to feed themselves and enough for export to earn foreign currency. To earn foreign currency. Saka murikona tikutaura tichiti patasvika apa varume taakunyadzisa. MaZimbabweans vanhu vakunyadzisa. Because if you look at mari chaiyo yatinayo munyika medu, tichitaura about depreciation every day. Mari iri kudonha, mari iri kudonha, mari iri kudonha. Value yemari yekudonha. Central bank yedu cannot sustain us. Todini. Toita say. Because my economic transactions edu, most of them are not visible. Apana chiri kuitwa chekuti unoti Zimbabwe iri kubudirira. Kuti umire udze vanhu kuti Zimbabwe iri kubudirira. Apana. Saka toita sei varume? Ngatichiendai tonodemonstrate. Varume, tasvika kwamvura yacheka makumbo. This is not the time yekugara kumba wakatarisa kuti regai ndiitirwe naningi. Because muZimbabwe nemwe akatarisira kuti ninga achatanga, ninga achandiitira, ninga achaita. Iwewe, what are you contributing? Ask yourself wakagara ipapo. What are you contributing to the world? Ndaona mwe munhu anyora zvikanzi mudhara iwe hautyi, and mudhara iwe unotaura zvazviri. Ndikati ndinotaura because I need to contribute to my country. This is pane strength yangu ipapo pekuti I talk. Iwewe one strength yako, what are you doing to the country? What are you contributing? Uri kumirira ani kuti akuitire? Waroda kuti atange ndiani kuti ningi tanga iwewe? Ndiani? Anzi tanga iwewe. Anzi tanga iwewe. Honestly, ndotanga inini. Then what? Uda ndikuitire. Uda ndikuitire. Ndaseka hangu kune mumfesa anonzi Leo Kenya zanga achinyora anzi asi blazi achiri mugana zere. Anzi kubuda pachena kwete zvananyoka yemabhunu zvekutaura wakawanda. Inini anobva nambowanda inini. Ask people who know me. Anobva nambowanda. I've never hidden my affiliation to opposition politics. I've been opposition through and through. And I'm one person who still believe, given a chance, opposition will make that country great. And the people were saying, like Zvanyorwa trust in Ngwarai, and we need brave soldiers like you, my brother. Viva Comrade Geza, Aluta continue. We need change in our country. Pasina zvigananda. Zvauraya nyika neumbavha neumondi. The voice of the people matters. I like what Trust has written here. We need to be brave. We need to confront the situation. It's no longer time to sit and say, kune munhu achauya kuzondiitira. Kana wanzi iwewe, let's stay away. Take your part, stay away. Kana wanzi takupinda muroad, takunobvisa Mnangagwa ku-State House. Iwewe pinda, uende ku-State House. Unobvisa Mnangagwa, play your part. Iwe, you guys, I think you remember, pandakaenda ku COP26 before COVID. Ndaye pakauya Mnangagwa, was it after COVID or before COVID? I can't remember very well. Ndakaenda ku Newcastle, ndakaenda ku Scotland when Mnangagwa came. And it tikasvika tikaita demonstration. Patai demonstrator pai makaona here vanhu veku Sri Lanka. the guys vandaitaura nawo tichiimba masongs avo tichiimba zvese tichiita zvese vakabva paipai paCOP 26 vakaenda kuSri Lanka vakanosvika vakaunganidzana vakamobilizana they stormed the State House vakabvisa hurumende yanga iripo miraitoni vakabvisa hurumende yanga iripo vabva kuCOP 26 vabva kuCOP 26 kwataiimba masongs nawo tichiita zvese zvataiita nawo revolution takaita zvese zvatakaita nawo nekuSri Lanka andiri vamwe vedu vabva kuCOP 26 vakaenda kumusha kwavo kuSri Lanka uko vasvika kuSri Lanka vachibva vamhanyisa president anga aripo. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. Sri Lanka vakabva vese vatainawo paCOP 26 vakakwira ndege vakadzokera kumusha kwavo. Vadzokera kumusha kwavo vakasvika vakamobilizana vakaita demonstration vakaenda vakanopinda mumba mapresident wekuSri Lanka akatiza akatiza president wekuSri Lanka. So you find that these people pataitaura navo maleaders acho taitaura vachiti the good part as Sri Lankans we have accepted diversity in our country. Avana vanga vasingatauri zvokuti uyu mundebele because Sri Lanka is divided into very small islands vane marudzi akasiyana siyana. But what they did is they accepted diversity in their country. If we start by accepting that Ndebeles are part of Zimbabwe, the Yawos are part of Zimbabwe, Mashona and Makalanga and Chi, they are part of Zimbabwe. Let's accept that diversity of our country. We begin to be a cultured family because we are a family as Zimbabweans. If we want to rise up against Emerson Mnangagwa and the clique, we should not look at Marudzu, because once we start this lack of appreciation of diversity, that means we have lost the ploy. We have lost the ploy. All our conflicts, my tribal conflicts and so forth, we must set them aside. Because if we don't do that, I will read to you that the constitution of Zimbabwe is going to be mutilated. Bana Ziyamba are able to mutilate that constitution. So if we stop kupatsurana nemarudzi, these unnecessary tribal conflicts, because I'm telling you, Mandevele chayo vari vashoma, those people are warriors. I've stayed in Mandevele, I've worked in Mandevele. Ukaona ndiri kuchikuru because taishanda nana Tulani Madlela kampani akainzi Tutsi kanaiti tsano so nambodanana nasisi wake tsano Tulani Madlela ndaiona na shoko mumpana ainzi shoko ada zvidebele stereki vamwe vafana vacho vanga vari mashona asaita ngemandebele taiona na Zikali taiona na Mdudu Skosana taiona na rainzani kole Qinisela ukabvunza vanhu paResendra vanokuudza about vanaqinisela ndanga ari mupana ainzani aishasa ncuve la mupana wamatembelera aiqinisela nanadlami takagara nemandebele akawanda stereki especially ukaenda nana ncuve rainzani kozi mupana ndakatirana ro tactics rainzi ncuve so vanhu vandotauraiva they were Ndebele vakauya kumashonaland tichipinda basa 96 vasingagone kana kutaura shona vasinganzwe kana shona vakatanga kutodzidzira shona takushanda navo paHarare Central but tichivatsvinyira mano vafana vai. But if we start accepting that we have got accepting this diversity in our country, if tikabatana pasina kuti mudebele mushona uyu muchii, ZANU-PF inorova pasi nhasi chai ZANU because noise yatoita kuHarare noise chaitika kumaTebeleland ikangove fanana chete ZANU yarova pasi andimona because the freedoms of our people are granted by people. For Zimbabweans to be free, we must grant ourselves that freedom. And that freedom must align to the country's independence, the essentials of our independence. Why did our fathers demand independence in the first place? If we compare why they went to war, if we compare what we want to achieve, you will find that the reasons are the same. So, if we have movements derived from the people of Zimbabwe and put an action plan, stop this nonsense, Irutwana Mnangagwa, tinobudirira. Zimbabweans today are suffering. Chicharwadza muZimbabwe is financial hardship. Hakuna chinhu chinonzi mari muZimbabwe. Mari in a few people. Those are the people with money. And that type of situation is explosive. It's a very dangerous situation where 90% of the country are starving. And the marital zone dzifamba na Mnangagwa, a few people vane ma-US dollar vakazadza vana usakupwanya vakarara mudining makazara ma-US dollar. Half a room yakata ma-US dollar. Vakarara pamusoro pemari kudai so ma-billions. Emari yenyika yeZimbabwe. Because kana riri gold reZimbabwe, rinofana kubenefita iwe neni. I-gold redu renyika. Hakuna anofana kunzi i-gold ranhingi. Andivona? So, that has put the people of Zimbabwe in a financial hardship. Saka, that financial hardship, yakuitwa complemented with the military tactics. Kuti vanhu vakuthreatenwa nechimilitary. Kunzi vakada kuti vakomplaine, vakada kuti vataura kunzi masoja endai murova. Anda manzwa mudhara aitaura ati ngoti kombai murove. Kungoti kombai murove chete. That is a military tactic to intimidate the people, to make you quiet, to shut your mouth. Murunzi, shut up. Namnangagwa, you cannot say anything. Once you do that, we use the military tactic. We threaten you. Saka toita say, because you can tell that the economy of Zimbabwe is in the hands of a few. And those few are not even key leaders of the country. But zvigananda zvakataurwa nechimudhara chache. Saka toita sei vana veZimbabwe. This is high time you guys must come together and work together. Already, maitsvaga kuti achatanga ndiani. Geza atanga uyu. Paishaika munhu ane mabhora ekutanga, ma-steel balls. Geza watanga. Saka emotya futi matangirwa revolution kunzi guys take it up. Ndimi mafana tema dzinobuda ropa. You're getting in your shells. Murida kuzoitirwa nani. Because the conflict between people in ZANU-PF, it's a blessing to the people of Zimbabwe. This has made some things bare. So we must provide the solution. ZANU-PF as it is, ZANU-PF cannot provide any solution. Cannot provide any solution at all. Instead, they need 3 more years after the expiry of Mnangagwa's term to continue looting. And you guys are allowing this to happen in our country. Because so there is extrajudicial killings. My journalists are kurawa. My opposition, vachiri kungomira vachitira opposition vari kurawa. Isu kumira tichitira opposition tikutsvagwa. Ndakaverenga imwe article yakandiroisa hana. Ndakamentionwa muarticle imomo kunzi I'm under surveillance and ndiri kutsvagwa. Hanzi uri kutsvagwa mfana, uri kutsvagwa. Anditi mona. Andiri kutsvagwa. Saka toita sei? Tonyarara here voita madiro munyika yeZimbabwe. Yanyika yawo chete. Saka, we are going to start a new movement. A movement that Rutanga, it's not a political party. It's not a political party. Pa Facebook, nepa Twitter, I'm encouraging the people of Zimbabwe kutakuita enonzi #MeToo. Ndozvatakuchemera. Nyorai apa kuti even pako pa status kana pai starting from today onwards chenda mberi, let's say #MeToo, so that we all get involved. #MeToo. #MeToo. Let's begin, let's start now that movement. We need a movement that can #MeToo. True, Murunzonya and Rutora. #MeToo. It reminds us of all the cases which shook the country, the killings which shook the country, the disappearances of our people. Tine disappear. And this morning, we have got challenges that are put before us. So, Iwewe, to all those challenges, get involved. Get involved. Anyone who are being detained on false allegations, say, let's stand up. So it's #MeToo. Stand up. You must stand up. Because at the end, we need to see if we can change certain things in our country. So there is a #MeToo movement that we must start. The #MeToo movement, it must mobilize the people to go for demonstrations. Can a man sit down, shut down? Let's encourage people to shut down. And this #MeToo, it must be a social movement. And that social movement must be against the mutilation of our constitution. It must be against the harassment of opposition members, the harassment of those who see things different from the government. Because we must hold the government accountable. If our government is a criminal government, we must highlight that government is a criminal government. Saka Trukuda, a widespread coverage of a #MeToo organization, a movement. #MeToo. Get involved. Let's get involved. Because once we don't get involved, this #MeToo movement won't grow. We want this movement to grow. We want the people of Zimbabwe to get involved. Because if we don't get involved, that is diversity. But it's not about Ndebele, it's not about women, it's not about children, not about whoever. It's about Zimbabweans. You put in brackets Zimbabweans. #MeToo. Because if we talk about the survivors of the atrocities of Gukurahundi, if we talk about the survivors of the atrocities of Wavotera Papi, you will see that we all suffered the same fate that we must challenge. So let's differ from other people, what they say. Let's focus, especially on my demonstrations. We don't need to be violent to remove a violent regime. No. We don't need to be violent to remove a violent regime. We don't need to be violent. If we become violent, they can utilize the constitution of the country to say, look, when we are violent now, and we are quashing them violently. They will tell you they are quashing us violently because we want to be violent. So if we approach zvatiri kuda zvinhu zvedu, zvedu zvatiri kuda zvikaita, mangwana muchichazofunga kuti zvisho takatanga sefani naye. Bo zvatiri kuda tuda a revolution inenge Arab Spring. A revolution just like Arab Spring. Munoziva revolution Arab Spring yakatangira kuTunisia. Pane mfana mwakangorwadziwa akaenda pamberi pemasoja pamuchaji office akadira petrumiro akazvitungidza. Zvakatanga revolution yakachinja life yainzi Arab Spring mu Middle East. So we need to take such type of courage. And it because ndikafa inini for the better of the country, vachauya mangwana vachagara upenyu hwakanaka, nyika voivaka yoenderera mberi because hapana asiri kuzofa. Because if you look at what happened in the Arab Spring, a series of violent and non-violent revolutionary protests. Makawenema demonstrations which transpired into an Arab Spring. Arab countries akachinja. Saka murikona kuti yakatangwa nechi revolution. Yakatangwa zviri simple. Musi wa 17 December 2010 ndo pakatanga revolution. Payone mfana ainzi Mohammed Bouazizi. Aitengesa mafruits, he was just a vendor. He was just a vendor. He self-immolated to protest abuse. Musi wa 17 December 2010 ndo pakatanga this Arab Spring. Mfana akanozvi aive vendor kuTunisia achitengesa mafruits muroad. He had seen enough of the abuse. Akanotenga chigubhu chepetrol akapinda police station pamberi pemasoja akadira petrol akatora matches akazvitungidza. Masoja vanhu vakatanga kumhanya kunoda kumdzima kuita sei ndo pakabva patanga Mvukela. And that Mvukela got rid of dictatorship. That Mvukela got rid of those absolute monarchs, those who were engaged in human rights violations. Corrupt governments were removed. Those who led to economic decline like Mnangagwa were removed. People started crying of unemployment, and there was extreme poverty in those countries. So you can tell with Mauritania, things changed. West Sahara, things changed. In Lebanon, Iraq, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, things changed. Yemen, chinja. So these were all countries involved in the Arab Spring. Chaka Arab Spring chi, you can tell with Ajnaksiana with what is happening in Zimbabwe at the moment. High unemployment. Zimbabwe is a country with 99% unemployment rate. Zimbabwe. Food prices inflation. Kaenda kuZimbabwe, nefood yacho hamusisina munyika. Corruption was one of the key contributors of the Arab Spring. Lack of freedom of speech also contributed to the Arab Spring. Poor living conditions. Ungantaura kuti nyika yese ikurumwa netsikidzi. Kana chitaura anonzi poor living conditions, this is what we mean. There is an outbreak etsikidzi muZimbabwe. Vanorodyiwa netsikidzi. Dziri mumbara mudzikuridza muridzo. Hanzi ukatodzifiritira ichifa inenge ichizvara 100 yafa kairozvara 100 vanhu vapera netsikidzi mumbari. Saka these were the causes of the Arab Spring, which must be the causes of this revolution. What are the effects of it? In the Arab Spring, presidents were ousted. They were removed from power. They were removed from power. Vana Mubarak vakamhanyiswa. Ukaenda kuTunisia vakadzingwa mapresident, maminister, vazhinji vacho vakasungwa vakavharirwa. This is why you see these amendments, they are meant to protect zvigananda vanhu vari kuluta. Vari kuziva kuti if there is change today, 90% of them will be in prison because of corruption. Vana Ziyambi will be in prison. Nekuti vari kudzvanyirira freedom of speech, fundamental rights evanhu, which are enshrined in the constitution of Zimbabwe. Andiriona. Ukada kuona kuti Zimbabwe yanga iri nyika matourists aiuya, but the stories now, the number of tourism or tourists has been reduced. Prices echikafu because vanoti vanotenga ne-US dollar. Ena wotasa price kunana bone macho. Unomira ho. You cannot afford to buy food in Zimbabwe. So if you look at the consumer confidence has declined. You understand? Atisina industrialization, amusina ma industries in Zimbabwe. Saka, virtually that country has collapsed. So ukaona kuti uprising yatofuna kuita now, it has to start with all these reasons I have given. The mutilation of our constitution must be the first key point that can nudge Zimbabweans into action. You guys need to uprise. You need to stand up and protect the constitution of the country.
Old one, new one.
New.
Old one. Oh, listen. Old one.
Open the new one.
Listen.
The old one.
The old new one.
Open it. Anditi manzanya yatiri kutaura. Because high unemployment iyoyo must be enough. The corruption, those 2 points must be enough to send Mnangagwa sprawling. Mnangagwa needs to be overthrown. Very simple. He has to be overthrown. Those are the political effects of corruption. Those are the political effects of high unemployment. The frauds that are being perpetrated. Whereas a minimum wage, lecturer at university are $230. Mari yekuti haakwanise kana kusafiwa motikari make the whole month achienda kuuniversity kunodzidzisa. So those points are enough to see Mnangagwa being overthrown. Because mukachengeta Mnangagwa, definitely akusina kwamuri kuenda. Akusina kwamuri kuenda. And the other issue is Zimbabweans must fight to exclude Chinese interests in our country. Remove Chinese. I am begging you. My Chinese must never be near our country's economy. And we must control our own ways of production. But you guys, you can't guarantee safety. Vanhu kuenda kumachi tese totoda, but vanhu vazongosungwa zvovarana vari mukati. Azvifane kuvarana manje. Kana vanhu vatopinda mukati, we need to storm the prisons to tibudise vanhu vari mukati. Zimbabweans, akomana, Arab Spring hamuna kuiona here. Ndiyo tiri kutaura nezvayo. Majeri akanovhurwa aya, vanhu vakabuda, vasungwa vakabuda. Hamuvharire vanhu vasina mhosva, vanhu vari kuprotesta. It's their right according to the constitution. Because what you want is to implement democracy. We want to see democracy in our country being done. They must stop hiking the prices of goods. Because even though in my shop, ndo kuhoda zvikafu zvacho vachiuya vachitengesa nemaprices ari pamusoro. Zimbabwe has lost investment. Hakusina munhu ane pfungwa dzakakwana anozoinvesta muZimbabwe. Hakusisina. Takambonzwa kana Dangote hanzi vachauya, havana kuuya. Havana kuuya. They've terminated friendship with Zimbabwe. Many countries have terminated friendship with Zimbabwe. They have terminated trade with Zimbabwe. Hakusina chinhu chinopinda muZimbabwe chekuti uchataura kuti Zimbabwe ichabenefita, nyika ichanaka under ZANU-PF regime or Mnangagwa. The political uncertainty now compared to 10 years ago is the reason. Is the reason. Saka, everything is in short supply. Marichacha is in short supply. Saka, the question is, who will rule the country? That is the question for another day. Who will rule the country is the question for another day. Saka, guys, ningataurisa for today. Regerai nimbonda say, nimbonori woo kurara ndrumuka mai manje kuenda kubasa. Ndrumuka mai manje kubasa. Good night. Ndoda kuzwa kurwadziwa ndichitanga kutaura nyaya yeZimbabwe. It is like my private property. I've got pain in me every time I start talking about this country. There's unbearable pain in me. Undangochera attack nenyika yotrotwa vanhu vadya vachiguta. Good night.